The Archdiocese of Chicago is a vibrant and diverse faith community. We celebrate our faith through worship, evangelization, and reaching out to the needy. Welcome to Catholic Chicago.
When I listen to my heart, I can hear you whisper, asking me lovingly to come and follow you.
Good morning. I'm Sister Lavina Francis Hammett. I'm a Franciscan sister of the Sacred Heart. I'm the co-host along with Father Adam here in the Archdiocese of Chicago, and our show is Dare to Love. Father Adam, good morning.
Good morning, Sister Lavina, and Happy Easter.
Happy Easter.
Good to see you this morning.
Thank you. And so last month, we were talking to the Sisters of Notre Dame, Sister Tina Petrie and Sister Linda Pelagio, and we had an hour full of interviewing them and their stories, vocation stories and their experiences for mission, the struggles that Sister Linda was going through. However, we just thought we'd bring them back because they still have a lot of stories. We kind of were left hanging, and so we'll be talking to Sister Linda and her story from the Philippines and her journey into the United States and how she got here. And so we'll start actually with Sister Tina.
Sounds great. Sister Tina, Sister Linda, good morning.
Good morning.
Good to
Happy
have
Easter
you. Happy Easter. Good to have you with us. As you know from last month's program, Sister Linda is originally from the Philippines, Sister Lovina is from the Philippines, and I have a Filipino heart, having been on mission in the Philippines. And so if you want a vocabulary lesson, the easiest way to say Happy Easter in Tagalog is Maligayang Pasko ng Muling Pagkabuhay. Now, if you can say that 3 times real fast, you'll get extra credit for today. Or just say Muling Pagkabuhay, the Feast of the Resurrection. So what a joy from last month to this month to celebrate with you this new life that we share on this wonderful program, Dare to Love, where we highlight the invitation that Christ gives us to love deeply and inclusively, and now sharing in the resurrected life of Christ all the more. So welcome back to both of you. Sister Tina, I could not agree more with Sister Lavina that we were really left hanging with some of the stories we heard last month. We'd love to hear more about some of your mission experiences. Now, close to my heart as a Divine Word missionary, we talked last month about how you know some of our Divine Word members and some of the places you were on mission, especially in what we call PNG, Papua New Guinea, and also in Uganda. So what if we were to travel around the world today and go back to PNG, Papua New Guinea? Could you share with us, Sister Tina, about the time that you were teaching at the high school and how that became a Notre Dame secondary school? Could you share that with us?
Yes, our sisters began the school in the 1960s, and it was founded because they were not teaching girls. When our sisters landed in Papua New Guinea, they were told, no, we're not going to teach girls, you're going to teach in the boys' school. So the sisters said, no, they taught in the boys' school, but then they said, we're starting our own school for the women of Papua New Guinea. So that's how it started. And it started out with grade 6 and went through grade 7, 8, and then eventually it became a high school. And in many Commonwealth countries, high school is grade 7, 8, 9, and 10, as it was when I went to Papua New Guinea. I started teaching in the high school. And eventually, through AusAid, the Australian government helped fund it to become Notre Dame Secondary School. So I was teaching the women of Papua New Guinea, and the school has had about 500 women, all boarders, because of the remote areas of the country. They all come to live at the school. It was a joyful time. I really enjoyed teaching. I usually taught English and religion, personal development. So that was a grace time. The first time I went to Papua New Guinea, I taught. It was changed. Those 3 years I was there, it went from Notre Dame High School to Notre Dame Secondary School. And then when I went back the second time, I also taught at Notre Dame Secondary School, again, English and religion. Yeah.
So, Sister Tina, when from last month, you said that your mother really knew from your vocation story that you were going to be a sister. Now,
Right.
going on a mission, is that something that something deep inside you that you really, really wanted to become a missionary, or is that something that developed? What kind of prompted you to become a missionary and travel outside of the United States?
Well, I always always say I wanted to be a sister, especially, a missionary, especially because I remember one of the sisters, her name was Sister Mary Claver, and she had come back from Papua New Guinea and taught in our school, in our elementary school in Sandusky, Ohio. And I didn't have her, and I was always jealous of my brother, my older brother, who was 2 years older, had her as a teacher. And she would share stories of Papua New Guinea, and I would hear these stories, and it was probably sixth grade. And ever since then, I thought, someday I want to go and be a missionary to Papua New Guinea, because that was our mission from our Toledo, we were Toledo province at the time. That was our mission.
That's great. And what, in terms of your experience with your trips so far, was there trepidation, excitement, fear? I don't know, excitement.
I really didn't remember feeling any trepidation. I just knew it was right, and I just knew I was going. The hard part is traveling. I was traveling alone every time. It was just me going to Papua New Guinea, and for the first time every time I've traveled any place, I've always been by myself. And the first time I thought of my mother at that time, because I remember just flying from Ohio to Tennessee, and she was so nervous that she had my nephew come with me to go to Tennessee. And I thought of my mother as I travel the world often, because I think, oh, Mom, if you could see me now.
Yeah.
That's amazing, Sister. And I'm sitting here thinking, as a Divine Word missionary, that missionary life is so fascinating, because if we remember that in the context of our faith, and I know we touched on this last month, that our faith is missionary. We are a missionary church. If nothing else, by the sense that we're given the gift of faith to give it away, to share it and to invite others to know the Lord, as Jesus commands us to go and make disciples of all nations, to invite all people into friendship with the Lord. So mission is both very local, hear what we do in our own communities. I often say the most difficult people to love are those that we live with, right? That's the mission too. And then the global mission that you speak about. So I'm thinking, as a Divine Word missionary, from my experience, I'm wondering, with your teaching, was that something that you were prepared to do? For instance, having some background as an educator, or was it sort of that's the need and then you learned the skills to do it?
No, I've been a teacher most of my life. I've taught in usually elementary schools here in the States, in Ohio and Indiana and Florida. I never taught in the high schools here. Of course, the certification is different, but I do have a reading endorsement, which means I can teach K-12, and the government of Papua New Guinea recognized that. So
excellent. So very well prepared.
I love to teach, and I can always teach.
Absolutely. It's also interesting to hear that you went on mission more or less by yourself. We think of Jesus sending them 2 by 2, and we probably all had those experiences where we hoped to be partnered with someone, but had to also go on our own. But I know from last month you talked about how you got to know some of our Divine Word members and other religious who were there. So it seems that once you arrived, you were welcomed with other missionaries that were there as well.
Right.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what are some of the very, very different things? Because, when you go outside of the United States, here, Americans are very much into comfort. Like I've heard this, and I guess this is kind of like a generalization in a way. Like Italians have wonderful food, and Italians would usually probably complain about the food because they have high standards, right? But when you hear about Americans, it's comfort. We like our creature comforts. What about you? I mean, what was your experience?
What amazed me when I got to New Guinea was the organization of the school, in the sense that we fed 500 girls 3 meals a day, and everybody knew exactly what to do. They had big pots, and they would go, and it was rice and greens and whatever what was available. They have a sweet potato that's called cow. That's the local name for it. And it's a little different. And Uganda had the same potato. It was their staple. Both places had it as a staple that was very healthier than our sweet potatoes. And I just was amazed at how everything got done. And I was amazed at how good the food was, in the sense that healthy food. It was, we had greens, and we'd have all kinds of foods that were not processed. And I guess that's the one thing I miss the most when I'm home, when I'm in the States, is not having the process. I mean, having processed food always at our hands, always available to us. Mm-hmm. I do have one story. I came back to the States, and I was living in a little town with some sisters, and one of the sisters said, "What shall we have for supper?" And she said, "We'll have some hamburgers." So we had some meat ready, and then I said, "What about some what we would call fries, French fries with it?" And she said, "Well, we have to see if we have any in the freezer." And I started laughing, and I said to her, and it came out before I could think, I said, "Oh, you're such an American." Because I'm like, when I think of cooking French fries, I take a potato and I cut it and make it into a French fry. Yeah. And she laughed and she said, "I can't help it." And it's true. We don't think about how we view life until we're challenged in some way.
Yeah. So I don't know what I would do without a microwave anymore, really. When I grew up, we used to toast bread on, over the stove, and use like one of those flat frying pans, I guess, to make toast. And now it's like, I can't imagine life without a toaster or the microwave. So, why don't we just take a break? But we would love, Father Adam and I would love to hear more of these stories, like how they cook without microwaves probably, and something that's probably we could learn from. So we'll go on a break, and then we'll be right back. Okay.
All right.
I've traveled long and far to follow you, a stranger and a pilgrim in this world. Sometimes I wonder what this journey will bring, and you guide me faithfully to find a home in you. Here I am, did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God, I am ready.
Do you have an old bicycle that's not being used? Consider donating it to Catholic Charities Veterans Bike Project of Lake County. Skilled volunteers are refurbishing bicycles to make them safe and ready to be used by veterans to get to and from their new places of work. We also gratefully accept financial contributions that are used to purchase bike helmets and other safety accessories. Our veterans have faithfully served the United States, and now it is our privilege to serve them. For more information on the Veterans Bike Project of Lake County, call 847-782-4219. That's 847-782-4219.
I feel special. I feel great. I got good grades.
We've seen a huge surge in our kids now meeting or exceeding grade level. Come check us out. You may have never thought we were an option before.
Our school communities provide students with academic excellence and character education in a supportive and stable learning environment. Come see for yourself. Visit archchicago.org/findaschool.
At Catholic Charities, we want to remind you that we are here for anyone who is a victim of domestic violence or anyone who has a concern about someone they think may be a victim. Domestic violence affects millions of people each year, both women and men, of every race, religion, culture, and economic status. It includes physical, psychological, and emotional abuse, inflicted in both subtle and overt ways. The impact on children can be devastating. If you or someone you know are victims of domestic violence and you are looking for a place for healing and recovery, call us at 773-935-3434 in Cook County and 224-430-4977 in Lake County. A safer, happier tomorrow can begin today.
Here I am, I come to follow you.
My heart sings of the love that I found in you.
A love that dwells in all of your creation.
And welcome back to Dare to Love. We're so grateful to have you with us for this wonderful monthly program which aims to promote vocation awareness throughout the Archdiocese of Chicago through programming related to vocation promotion and discernment. Today we have the privilege of welcoming back our guests from last month, Sisters of Notre Dame from the Toledo, Ohio area, Sisters Tina and Linda. So welcome back, and welcome back from our break. And here we are in this wonderful Easter season celebrating the new life of Christ. Sister Tina, you got us started this morning with continuing the sharing you began last month about your amazing missionary experiences. Mission being both local, how we live among and with our own families and learn how to love, right? The dare to love. And then taking that globally on your trip to Papua New Guinea. I was just thinking to encourage our listeners, if you do not know where PNG is in the world, I challenge you and I invite you to pull out your map or your phone and find it. I'll give you a little clue. It's above Australia, okay? So look in that region of the world. So Sister Tina, you were fascinating me with your story about how your previous experiences as an educator and a teacher prepared you well for teaching in a very different environment in PNG in Papua New Guinea. And then we began through Sister Lovina's invitation to think about what might have surprised you or challenged you there that was different than the comforts we experience back here and take for granted at home. And you got us talking about the cooking they were doing, feeding 500 young women 3 meals a day. And so I automatically started feeling hungry. And someone mentioned pasta, I think at some point, or Italian food. I just made some baked pasta last night, okay? So I'm the cook at our house this week. But that got me thinking that fast forward in your missionary experience, and you went from Papua New Guinea, now get out your phones again, now you have to go to another continent, to the continent of Africa, because Sister Tina, you then traveled to Uganda in Africa. So if we don't know where that is, we're going to find it on our phones. A clue for you is the capital is Kampala, I believe. I know that much, okay? And so at that point, correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand you were actually working on and serving on a farm at that point in Uganda. And we'd love to hear more about what that was like, this range of animals I understand you were caring for and such. Sister Tina, could you share with us about that experience on the farm?
All right, so don't get me wrong. I was never really caring for the animals. I did make sure they were cared for, okay, and they had what they needed. So in Uganda, we had, I was in charge of a nursery school, but on the property where we had the nursery school in the convent, which also had young women in formation, we had a farm. And so it was a swampy area really, but we had we had 2 hen houses and we had chickens and cows. We had one cow at first, and she gave birth and had a couple more, and then we sold the bulls, but the cows we kept. One of the things that I wanted to do, and I did do, was to have biogas. I don't know if people are aware of what biogas is, but it's a way of trapping the droppings of the cow, the dung, and putting it into a vat where the gases from it comes up, and you can cook with that. In Uganda, I built one in next to the cow. That's why we had cows at first, besides the milk. And we would have the milk. We would sell the milk to the nursery school for snacks, and we would also sell it to the people around. So we ended up having 3 or 4 cows by the time I left. And then for Thanksgiving one year, an Indian Vincentian priest decided to give me a turkey. Now, I knew I was a farmer at that time when I said, no, we are not killing this turkey. We're going to buy a female turkey, and we're going to raise turkeys. That's when I realized that I had become a farmer at heart, because then we had turkeys, many area for them, so they multiplied, obviously, and so we did eat the turkey before I left Uganda. We did eat the turkey that the priest had given me, so we did partake of it, but not until we had enough to raise some more. So we also had somebody gave me some rabbits, and again, when people think of rabbits as pets, and I right away think, oh no, this would be a good meal. But of course, I don't want to eat these rabbits because I want them to reproduce first, and then yes, but yes. So I built a nice safe place for them, and then we also had goats. Now, goat meat was new to me, but I got used to it. We had goats for quite a few goats by the time I was finished with my mission in Uganda. So yes, I was a farmer at heart. We also had plenty of growing of crops like maize, corn, and we would get it milled and have it for meals. Yeah.
Sister Tina, I'm amazed at your story about becoming a farmer at heart. Now, in full transparency here, I grew up near Detroit, and then I joined my seminary, my religious community seminary in rural Iowa. So my first culture shock came before I ever left the United States as a missionary, but going to that rural environment. And in all the years I lived there, I did not dare to really go to the farm. But I'm so amazed by your stories and how missionary life just calls forth all the things that we have to give, and learning the skills to help, as you said, the people have means and ways to cook and provide for their food. And I just have to ask, now you talked about turkeys and rabbits and chickens, and those, I can handle. Cows, I say all the time right in Iowa. But I have a suspicion that you might have seen some other kind of exotic animals, maybe even some dangerous animals. Are my sources correct on that?
Just a few. Well, yeah, I've seen dangerous animals, but there was one time I was in Uganda, and I was walking through our courtyard, and I was walking into a section of where our bedrooms were. And I opened the door, and as I looked, I thought it was a dead snake. And I thought, oh, there's a dead snake right outside the door. And I said, well, I'm just going to let it alone. And I shut the door, and I went to my bedroom, which was just 2 doors down from where the snake was. And I got something or did something in there, and I opened the door to come out, and that same snake was sitting right outside my door. Oh. And I thought, dead. It was the same dead snake. It was dead again, and I thought, this is not good. So I shut the door, and I pick up my phone, and I call the only other sister home at the time, and I say, Sister Scholastica, could you please come to my room And the sisters, both in Papua New Guinea and in Uganda, always laugh when Americans ask them to do something. They know that there's an animal in the mix. So either a rat or a snake or something. So the sister says, I'll be right there. So she opens the first door that I had gone through, and she sees the snake, and she just says, don't move. And I said, don't worry, I'm not moving. So I shut the door, and she went and got an axe or something and killed the snake for me. But yes, and I had to look them up because they're called zombie snakes. They act like they're dead, and then you go in to move them, and then they get you. Mm-hmm.
My goodness.
Oh, wow.
What a scary story. Amazing. Missionary life is full of adventures. And do I understand you also ran into a scorpion at some point?
At one point, I was in retreat in Tanzania, and I had come out of my the bathroom, and I looked, and I see a scorpion in the corner of the room, and I knew it was a scorpion that had that little tail sticking up, and I thought, So again, I closed my door and I walked down to where some of the sisters were, and I asked, and Sister Immaculate was there. And I said, Sister Immaculate, could you come to my room? And again, she started laughing. And I said, there's a scorpion. And she said, oh, there's no scorpion. And so she comes in and she kills it for me. And then she says, I guess it was a scorpion.
Well, lest we should leave our viewers scared to be missionary, let's just be clear. We love all of God's creatures, and we're there as brothers and sisters to care for one another. Yeah. So even in spite of the snakes and the scorpions, thank you so much, Sister Tina, for sharing more of your stories. It's such a pleasure having you back and kind of filling in some of the things we were left hanging with to hear more about. And so already this morning, imagine as we are called to share our faith with others, we've heard about how you and now have invited us to travel the world just this morning from our chairs to Papua New Guinea and Uganda. So I think this is probably a good time for us to get ready to take a break, but do not go away, because after the break we'll be back, and you see that Sister Linda is with us as well, and we're going to invite you, Sister Linda, to come back after the break and share some more with us. We'll see you in a few minutes.
I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you. This is what I want. This is what I seek. This is what I desire with all my heart.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at archchicago.org/schooljobs.
I am a seminarian.
The church needs compassionate and well-trained priests to help guide each of us through life.
What inspires me, what draws me always to the priesthood is continue to see priests be a beacon of hope for other people.
You can play a part in the education of these young men as they prepare for a life of service to others.
I want to be that beacon of hope too, and it sets my heart on fire.
To support our seminarians, make your gift at archchicago.org/seminarian fund or call 312-534-7959.
The Cemetery Ministry is a core ministry of our Catholic faith tied to the corporal works of mercy. It's comforting to know that our Catholic cemeteries are caring for the remains of our loved ones awaiting the resurrection. There are 44 Archdiocese of Chicago Catholic cemeteries willing to help you in your time of loss. Call 708-449-6100 or visit CatholicCemeteriesChicago.org. Catholic Cemeteries, serving the Catholic community since 1837.
You're listening to Catholic Chicago. Ahead, the Archdiocese of Chicago brings you programs about the people, events, and issues that touch our lives. Thanks for letting us be part of your morning. Now again, Catholic Chicago.
To come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am.
And we are back. I'm Sister Lavina. This is Father Adam. This is Dare to Love show. We have been talking to Sister Tina Petrie, and now we will be talking to Sister Linda, both Sisters of Notre Dame. And Sister Tina's story and adventures, both in Papua New Guinea and PNG, as Father Adam has been talking about. That one I do know. Uganda, I think I need to pick up the challenge and say it's like exactly where is it. Tanzania I had looked up before because I knew Father Valentine over when I was in Libertyville at St. Joe's Church, and he was from Tanzania. But Uganda I have to look up again. I do know where the Philippines is because that's where I'm from and Sister Linda's from. And now, so with Sister Linda's story, I know from last month, we were talking about at age 6, both of you at age 6, critical age for Sister Tina. Her mom pretty much prophesied and predicted. Now I'm making your mother a prophet now, Sister Tina, that she knew that somehow Sister Tina is going to be a sister. And now a critical time for, and in a way, it could have really been a tragic story, but we're talking about Easter and the Paschal Mystery. And I really would like to compare that to how our lives are, that there are ups and downs and things that could really be tragic, and somehow with the sufferings that we're having in the world with our brothers and sisters going through war. Sister Linda Pelagio's story is a story of hope. And from the last time that you told us your story when you became blind because of your experience, Sister Linda, from then you struggled and somehow were able to overcome all these challenges, and somehow by the grace of God, you are here. So from even elementary school, and thank God you have that great hearing, and your brain, your intelligent brain, kind of compensated for your loss of vision to being able to hear and listen and focus on what the teacher is saying, and aced your oral exam with the teacher. And then from there, you went through high school. And I think we were left hanging in terms of what's the rest of your vocation story, your journey. And even before, now we're talking to you, you're a Sister of Notre Dame. How did that happen? So these two segments of Dare to Love will focus on that. So Sister Linda, remind us now what happened after high school, or probably like through high school, and then how you kind of found your ministry. So maybe you can start from there.
Sure. Well, as I said, I was temporary in that school until I passed the first exam. With God's help, I passed it through the help of friends who shared their notes so that I can review it. And finally, I passed, so they didn't have any reason to kick me out of school. And the National Scholarship Exam was offered to all graduating students, including the School for the Blind. And I took my chance to take the exam. And after the exam, I thought, I am not sure if I'm going to pass it. So I continued working on my vocation. I met my first spiritual director in Baclaran Church. I have a great devotion to our Mother of Perpetual Help. So every time that I have an opportunity, every Wednesday, I go there for Mass. And then I happened to meet this priest who became my spiritual director. He's a Redemptorist priest from Australia. So anyway, we tried exploring the different possibilities. After several tried that it was not successful, he said, maybe you have to finish your schooling and maybe there will be a big difference if we start all over again. So since I didn't know if I'm going to pass the exam, that's only my way to go to college. My parents are very poor. So again, you know, sometimes I think negative, but God has always something plans ahead. I went to see my grandmother for the time being to seek her wisdom. And again, she told me, and said, just be open, don't forget to pray. And I have a feeling that God has something in store for you. So again, family, love, and wisdom and source of hope are great support for me. While I was there seeing my grandmother, I didn't realize that that was the last time I'm going to see her. I got the news that I passed the national scholarship exam, and I had to go back to Manila right away for orientation. And while I was taking the final exam, while I was in second year college, my grandmother passed away. So that was a great loss for me, because it always have something positive to tell me about God. Never lose hope, never give up, because when you journey through life, God is always there ahead of you in your destination. So I was inspired by those last words of Grandma. So during college, you know, it was very hard because it's more difficult, and I have to maintain a B+ average grade. And so I have to ask somebody, my classmates, I said, after school, so I said, I'll help you with your term papers if you read to me the books. So we spent hours behind the shelves of the library.
Wow.
Sitting on the floor, reading to me the books. And give and take, so I help her with what I can do, and she would read to me. Mm-hmm. So to make the story short, I finished college, and while I was waiting for the result of the board exam, I took social work with the hope that I'll be able to help other people who are like me, struggling with their disabilities. I have to find hope at the midst of seemingly all doors closing on you. So I thought maybe if I will become a social worker, I would like to pray to the Lord to make me an instrument that somehow to be able to tell others that when the Lord, maybe not closing the doors, but maybe seemingly as if he was closing the doors, but there are other windows that he is opening at the same time. You just have to be attentive and focus on those responses to our prayers that sometimes we thought it's not answered prayer, but they are answered. Sometimes the answer is later. Mm-hmm. So anyway, after that, I had a chance to go to Antwerp, Belgium for the World Blind Union Conference while I was waiting for the result of the board exam. I remembered my mother was crying and said, I wish you can see, because when you go to other places, we heard how beautiful those places are. And I said to my mother, so I said, didn't you ever realize that I'm able to get out of the country because of blindness? The reason I'm going there is because I'm blind. And I was invited because I'm blind. And so she said, you are right. So that was my first experience that lead to go to Germany for a 3 months study tour. So there was a big story behind it, but it happened, and I realized through hindsight, after I get to the United States, that those experiences that I had were already a part of my preparation to come to the States.
Mm-hmm.
So after that, I came back to the Philippines, find work. Not easy, but finally I found this agency is called Videre. And I think it's a Latin word for to see. If I don't know, Father Adam, if you know, I'm not good in Latin or whatever. But anyway, I became the one in charge of the rehabilitation program. And my part is to improve the program. I started writing letters to the different organizations for the blind, including the one in Marburg Institute in Germany, where I had a chance to observe for 3 months. And then I came across with the magazine. It's called Open Forum, and that's issued by the National Federation of the Blind here in the States. So I wrote to them, and in answer to my inquiry was an invitation to come and attend the conference for the blind. And that was in 1987. I was already working as a social worker for 5 years. And so my boss is fully aware of my vocation. I never hide to him. When I accepted the job, I told him that if there will be a community in the future that would be willing to accept me, I would like to get your permission to have somebody shadow what I'm doing, because I would like to pursue my vocation. I didn't realize that my boss was already attuned to that, because sometimes I am the one preparing for the mass for the staff and retreats, the yearly retreat, inviting priests and retreat directors to help us with those programs. And so my boss said, "Yeah, you have my blessings." So when I was invited to come to the States, and very difficult, because I had to ask different people to sponsor me, because all the expense will be for me. Nothing will be sponsored by the organization. So I did find one, and I landed in New Jersey, and the venue of the conference was in Kansas City, Missouri. So I have no clue what the United States is like. It's everything is kind of like a journey of faith. So I had to trust the different people that I met. And while I was there at the conference, I met the secretary of the president. And I told her that I would like to see different programs and services for the blind. And she invited me to come to Baltimore and offered to have a place for me to stay, and she will be my tour guide. So it was another struggle, because my sponsor really did not see that that is good. So they kept my passport and just asked me to get a little traveling bag. And for them, they're protecting me, you know.
Wow, Sister Linda, we're going to go on a break in a few seconds, but I'm just writing down like where you've been, and I mean you yourself you've been in an adventure, sister. So we'll continue with your story, and we'll finish off with how you finally met the sisters, and probably a little bit of your ministry, current ministry. So we're going to break, and then we'll be right back and find out where else you've been with your traveling bag here.
Sometimes I wonder what this journey will bring, and you guide me faithfully to find a home in you. Here I am, did I hear
Did you know that Catholic Charities accepts car donations? If you're ready to free up space in your garage and put a stop to all those expenses that go along with owning a car, we will gratefully accept your donation, whether the car is running or not. You choose a pickup time that is convenient for you, and we will make the donation as easy as possible, free of charge. You'll receive a charitable donation receipt as well. We accept all types of vehicles nationwide, and you will know that your donation is made to Catholic Charities, an agency you can trust. To learn more about donating your car, call 877-786-4483. That's 877-786-4483. Thank you.
People always say, how can you spend your day with 3-year-olds? Seeing the changes that they go through and just the journey and how they grow, this is a very rewarding job. Even though at the end of the day, we're not the highest paid people on earth. And when I have a parent contact me and say, my child loves school, that to me, I'm setting that foundation for their love of learning, because really you are changing lives, you are molding lives.
Shape the next generation of leaders. Teach. Apply today at artchicago.org/schooljobs.
Community is core to Catholic Charities' founding mission. For more than 100 years, we have met people and families where they are, serving anyone in need, regardless of their faith, gender, race, or ethnicity. As our world absorbs the economic, political, and social aftershocks of the pandemic, 50% or more of the 6 million people living in Cook and Lake counties have little or no savings. They are a paycheck away from zero. We are deeply grateful to everyone in the Catholic Charities community who partners with us to alleviate the suffering of the people we serve and offer them a better path forward. We are witnessing a message of mercy and hope to a world very much in need. Learn more at CatholicCharities.net.
A love that dwells in all of your creation.
Sometimes I wonder what tomorrow brings. Give me the grace to love.
Thank you for sticking with us. I am Sister Lavina. This is Father Adam. This is Dare to Love. We were talking to Sister Tina Petrie and Sister Linda Pelagio and their adventures. So we have been to where?
Papua New Guinea, Uganda, the Philippines,
right?
Europe, all over.
Yes, and then Sister Linda's, with her travel bag, her journey of faith. I love that, Sister Linda, going into the conference for the national conference for the blind in the United States, to attend the conference and then back down, and having travel companions all the time. You have been, your grandma's voice, your grandma telling you not to give up, to always stick with, and recognize the graces, and looking back, always looking back. All of this, even the travel, your travel companions, your travel bag with you, the tour, you have been going on a journey of faith with God preparing you all the time. And now you are here with us, and you're talking to us, and you are also ministering to others as a spiritual director yourself. And so the one final piece that we would like to hear is, how did you finally meet the Sisters of Notre Dame?
Going to Washington, D.C., had training at the Columbia Lighthouse for the Blind, and during the exit interview, the assistant director asked me about my unfulfilled dream. And so I am sure that what they were looking for is for me to talk about the curriculum. But what I said was, entering into a religious life, my blindness is always a hindrance. And she said, are you still considering it? So I said, maybe not at this time, because my last spiritual director in the Philippines told me that maybe, since nobody seemed to be ready to accept me, maybe I'm called to serve people outside religious life. So that's what I concentrated. So this question was kind of like, I was shocked. So anyway, she said, well, would you consider giving it one more time? to try one more time. After Vatican II, there are lots of changes. I said, well, my grandma said, no, never give up and always be open. So I said, I'm open to whatever. But I wasn't putting too much hope at this time. But before I know it, I had a visitor, a deacon from St. Matthew's Cathedral, was contacted because his ministry is with the blind. Before I know it, I was in front of the vocation directors in the diocese, and at that time it was Cardinal Hickey. So they encouraged me to write 16 letters. They picked 16 religious communities that they thought might give me a try. Mm-hmm. So I wrote to them, and a month later, I started getting all the no answers. Very polite, but they're not ready. And one of them was suggesting that I should go to the Jesus Crucified community. And so, but I feel that I'm called in active community. Mm-hmm. So 5 of them later on responded positively. In one of the last letter that I received was during December 8th, when this deacon came. He said, I have a letter from Toledo. And so I said, you can just read it and just tell me, the answer. I don't want to hear anymore. He said, no, I have to read it to you. And thank God, the letter was an invitation for 2 weeks to for them to explore if I will be a good material in religious life, mm-hmm. and for me also to find out if I am called to this community. Mm-hmm. My first try did not materialize because they have 13 inches of snow, and the second try I came via Dayton and end up canceling the flight. So Sister Barbara picked me up at the airport because I will not go to the bus. So I said, if somebody will take me to the airport, that's where the sister is picking me up. So anyway, my first experience in coming into the convent, I just felt so at home. And I noticed that the sisters in formation, quite a bunch of them, postulants and juniors and novices were there to meet me. And I thought, I would like to have something that they have. How can they be so happy over a bowl of popcorn at the middle of the
popcorn, not ice cream, huh?
So anyway, well, I was so happy because I felt that I was accepted. Yay. For who I am. And after 2 weeks, they said, do you have any more questions? I have a lot more questions. He said, well, you have to come back or we can extend your stay. But at that time, I was in process of changing my tourist visa into another visa that will help me stay a little bit longer while I'm exploring. So I came back. So that I came here first week in January, the middle of the snowstorm. I came back in April 4. Providentially, you're going to show this in April 4. Yes! That was when I entered religious life, but it's not sure yet that I will be accepted. But I came in April 4, and the rest is history.
Wow. So, Sister Linda, it's a wonder. Yeah, we're gonna be unfortunately we have to wrap this up. But I just wanted to say that your mom's prayers, your grandma's prayers, and then your faith, your unwavering faith, because of what your grandma said, never give up, is really with you. And it's such a privilege to have heard your story, and I hope that this will inspire a lot of people. And Sister Tina, thank you so much. Now, I just wanted to do a little plug here for an event that we're having April 15. Another great sister, Missionaries of Jesus, Sister Norma Pimentel, who's coming from Texas on April 15 at the Holy Name Cathedral at 6:30 p.m. We are launching our first annual Bishop Kevin Birmingham lecture. And our speaker is Sister Norma Pimentel. So if you could go into the Holy Name Cathedral website and just type in Norma Pimentel or Birmingham lecture, you will find out more. There is a registration that we ask people. This is open to the public, but if you could please register, that would be great. Or you can always contact the Archdiocese or look up Dare to Love, Sister Lavina. We will post all the information that you need. And I'll give it over to Father Adam because he also has some events going and he can close the program for us.
Thank you, Sister Lavina. Yes, indeed. So for my Divine Word missionary community, we'd like to invite all those who may have heard the stories of Sister Tina and Sister Linda last month and again today, who may be seen with the vision of the heart that we've talked about, right? Beyond the vision of our eyes, feeling and hearing that stirring and that call to be of service. How am I called to use my gifts to be of service to the needs of others? So we run a monthly discernment group for men ages 18 to 35, single men who are considering a vocation, have a chance to look through the window. We gather on Zoom, and our next program will come up on April 17th. You can go to the website svdvocations.org, svdvocations.org to register and learn more. So as we begin to wrap things up, we just want to express our profound thanks, maraming salamat po, to both Sister Tina and Sister Linda for your generous commitment of time both last month and again today to enlighten us and inspire us and our viewers and listeners with the stories of how you first accepted the dare to love, the commands we hear in the gospel to love God above all things with our mind, heart, soul, and strength, and to love others as we love ourselves. I always tell people, if you want to remember the commandments, look at the cross where Jesus ties those commandments together, loving God above all things, loving others as we love ourselves. You have shared so richly with us how you've responded to that invitation. Sister Lavina and I are truly grateful, and we want to encourage all of our viewers and listeners to continue listening and seeing, not only with the eyes here on your head, but with the eyes of your heart for the stirrings and the people and the circumstances God will use to help you answer that call in spite of whatever challenges there may be. So thank you very much for joining us today. Wish you a joyful Easter season of celebrating our new life in Christ, and we look forward to seeing you back here next month for Dare to Love. Thanks so much, everybody. God bless you. Happy Easter.
Thank you. Happy Easter to all of you.
Asking me lovingly to come and follow you. Here I am. Did I hear you call my name? Here I am, as you will. Speak, my God, I am ready to begin. Here I am, I come to follow you.
Join us every Monday through Friday at this time for Catholic Chicago. You can stream our programs live or listen to past programs by visiting our website, archchicago.org, and clicking on Radio TV. And please connect with Catholic Chicago on social media.
Sometimes I wonder what this journey will bring, and you guide me faithfully to find a heart